This is the One Up Radio Network, and now GFW Radio.
Hello and welcome to GFW Radio. That's right, the old intro's back, and it's staying, goddammit. No more singing.
It's going to be a good one. We are all high on PCP.
We are. There's been about 8 cans of Coke drunk between us. I just saw a frickin' car-bike accident outside. I'm all hyped up on real violence. I don't need your video game violence.
There was no GTA.
There was no GTA. I didn't see the guy's health meter go down or anything. I'm making jokes. The guy's like lying in the street, literally bleeding.
Right
He didn't bleed green like in all the games I play. Yeah, no, it was kind of creepy. Guy got hit by a car.
That was fun.
Well,
way to bring it down already.
I mean, was he like?
Yeah, I'm bringing it down.
Was he like walking upright afterwards, or?
I was thinking they probably didn't have a physics card for this thing. The way the guy fell.
Did he turn into a perpetual motion machine? His bike was like spinning around.
Yeah,
like, 360s nonstop.
Yeah, he got caught in the clipping. He was just like hanging in the air, spinning around upside down.
Thank you for
the
making a
ragdoll on it.
Yeah, that's what I went up and said to him. Your ragdoll physics are all wrong.
I'm so easily amused. I still, whenever that happens in a game, I always got to draw everyone. Look, it's a perpetual motion machine. Everyone gathers around and see the body that's like twitching around nonstop.
As long as we didn't go into any collision error jokes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're here. We're ready to talk amongst ourselves. And all the GFW crews here this week again. Yay. And that is amongst the following people.
Ryan Scott.
Darren Gladstone.
You gotta keep them separated. Me and my brother love that song because it reminds us of when Grandma lets us come out and play. So that was Sean. Elliot.
And Sean Malloy.
I thought you were going to just go through the whole podcast as Ralphie or something.
Yeah, I didn't know it was going to happen.
I just realized that the and that horrible song like was more or less a tard squeal with like reverb on it. So I wanted to expose that.
That could have kept going. I was waiting.
I got it out. The tough kids go out and play to it.
Okay, so we got a lot going on this week. We do.
Apparently.
I say that every week. This week I mean it. So we're gonna,
usually it's hyperbole. Like
so we're gonna dive right in with some what you playing, and then we're gonna talk about. I think we're gonna finally talk about this month's cover story, which is Company of Heroes, opposing forces. Now that it's been opposing fronts, sorry,
no doubt.
Now that it's been all over the web, and then speaking of the web, we're gonna have some heroes of the web. It's back. We have a
couple true heroes.
And then we're going to feature some news items, including a real-life hero of the web, John Romero. He's going to get his own. We're going to talk about
That's
him.
a hell of an intro.
We're going to talk about him and what he's up to. We love John.
Yeah. Obviously, it's going to be very flattering what we're going to say.
It is. We love John. Okay, so Darren, I know you've been all hyped up about something you've been playing this weekend, and you've been chomping at the bit to talk about it all day.
Yes. Okay, so I don't make any bones about being a Guitar Hero fan because it actually lets me pretend I can play guitar for 5 minutes. So the 360 version comes out this past week, and I picked it up, and I just was figuring, hey, there's a USB port in the thing, so I plugged it in the PC just to see what the deal was, and it totally recognizes it. I mean, the guitar just right out of the box just totally works. So there's a free game out there called Frets on Fire, which is basically a Guitar Hero knockoff sort of deal, but it's totally open source, and a lot of people online are providing their own tunes.
And you can map the 360 guitar to Frets on Fire?
Absolutely. So you could play a Guitar Hero game on your PC where the game is free, and on top of that, there's an unlimited number of songs out there being generated for it.
Real songs?
Real songs, original songs, stuff that's just being made by copying game songs that are out there. So it's actually kind of interesting, worth checking out.
So do you have to do any configuration to make it work? Or
just I plugged it in, and it recognizes all the buttons and everything. All I had to do was turn on the game and just configure, fret 1 is this button, fret 2 is this button, and that was it.
Was this an XP or Vista?
I did it in XP. I haven't had a chance to test it out fully in Vista yet because I was kind of in a rush. But
I think calling them frets is a little giving it too much
Yeah,
credit.
okay.
It actually being a guitar.
okay, the colored buttons.
There you go.
Yeah,
Red.
Okay.
High
but
school buttons on fire.
In the game, they call them frets. It's kind of hard, but you know what? Hell, before they had this, I mean, granted, it's still a plastic toy guitar you're plugging in, and it's kind of hard to have a modicum of cool.
Yeah.
But it's infinitely better
It's a
than.
fucked up world because they just announced that the Rockstar one, is that what
Right.
they call it?
Yeah, Rockstar.
And it's basically
Rock band, right.
Rock band, and you got like a drummer and a singer and a bass player and guitarist, and you're all supposed to play online. But it's like, remember when we were kids, just that guitar you get
Or
at
I do-
Toys R Us, and you press the fucking whammy bar,
Yeah,
and
totally.
it's like,
Yeah. Right.
or like hit sticks. Like no matter you see
Dude,
that in
don't
the
mess with the hit
commercial.
sticks. I love those
Did
things.
you see that in the commercial? Like, this is the shit right here. I can go around, beat this on like my sister's head on my table at school, and everything I hit is gonna have some different sound. And then you buy it, and you realize like no matter what you hit it or how hard you hit it, it goes like this. Yes, so no matter like
It's kind of like the 3D glasses that they used to advertise in the back of comic books.
It is
Not
like
3D
that.
glasses, like the X-ray.
The X-ray
But we-
specs.
So you could see
but that's the
people
things,
without
like,
their clothes on.
that stuff is
That
all.
totally didn't work.
But all these things were so decidedly uncool.
It's like,
They didn't work. No, but the hit sticks and the jam-on guitars were like so decidedly uncool.
Yeah.
But now we've got this version where people are like, you know what? We're gonna get the band. We're gonna get a band together.
we're gonna get the band together.
We've
Right.
always been meaning to do
Our dreams
this.
are going to come true.
Right.
Talk about Waja. Imagine like one of us singing. Who's? I got dibs on the singer on the microphone.
Yeah, I think that's the one that. No
Wasn't
one's
that
gonna
like
want.
any karaoke game
Karaoke
at this
Revolution,
point?
though. That's pretty.
Well, yeah.
popular.
I mean, I try to avoid that, but
Me too.
Yeah, but you played
fun.
the hell out of Guitar Hero though, didn't you?
that's fun. But like, I mean, when you start bringing in like
Air drums, air
wannabe-ass
guitar,
animal, like,
Yeah, that's going to look pretty dumb sitting by your 360 there.
and the
Doing
sound
that.
coming out of there, like, I don't know. Do you like just what?
I know.
You know, I really like
I'll give it a fair try.
I really like Guitar Hero
play
1. Guitar Hero 2, I got a new guitar for Guitar Hero 2, but I could never play it because it got ruined for me the night that I brought the new guitar home. I had to stop first at my kid's school for a parents' meeting, and I was holding the thing, and I ran into this other dad and this who's not a gamer or whatever, and he's like, "Is that like a Fisher Price toy?" And he wasn't kidding.
Well, it totally
and I
looks
was like,
like
"No,
one."
this is like." I was like, "No, this is like." This really cool game,
Yeah.
and he's like, "So what? You press like the colored buttons to make notes?" I was like, "Okay, quit reducing it in that way. It's
teaches
more
you-
than that."
Teaches you to count as every time you hit one of the quote unquote frets. It's like A, B.
Yeah, I couldn't play it. I brought it home, and I was like, "Oh fuck, he's
Okay,
right."
cool.
Well, it is a Fisher Price toy.
But it is so
You
much
have an
fun.
actual guitar, right?
Why the bass? I know how to play the
Okay.
bass.
But that's like to get if you start playing on the really hard difficulty levels in that game.
You might as well be a guitarist.
Yeah,
at that
well,
point.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to make you a guitarist.
No.
You might, but you might as well
Oh, no.
if you invested the same amount of time and energy into learning a real guitar.
Yeah,
you'd probably
exactly.
be able to play like "Stairway to Heaven" intro like the rest of your 8th grade class. You know,
No, that's exactly it. Like remember when the first one came out, and I forget who it was
with
in the office.
tabulature. That is.
I forget. There was one guy in the office who was playing the game when the first Guitar Hero came out. He was playing on an expert level, like
Joe
flawlessly.
Ribicki,
Maybe it was Joe. It must have been.
but Joe's a guitar player,
Right.
so
I don't know. They're barely transferable. Like,
It is. It's,
No,
totally,
they're-
it's totally not transferable.
Yeah, it's not
like-
transferable.
It was like
Yeah.
the way he told me it was like relearning how to play guitar.
Yeah, like, 'cause, like
Yeah, or actually
I
it's like
took guitar lessons, I played
unlearning how to
guitar.
play
But
guitar.
haven't
It's
there
like-
been like YouTube videos of like little kids playing this like with the sound not even on? You know, it's just like
yeah.
pattern
Yes,
recognition.
it is.
Yeah.
Right. That's all it is.
In the same way
Simon.
that like the Donkey
It's totally
Konga
Simon.
for the Nintendo.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, that was especially bad though because unlike Guitar Hero, half the songs in there don't even match up to the beats. And then they would choose like you're like okay, let's do a game about drums. But then they pick like Mary Had a Little Lamb and stuff. It was like, the drums are ill in that joint.
You know, it's like some random scrap, like it's like Huey Lewis in the News or whatever. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, stuff with like sissy drums in the background.
Well, do you expect to hear like Bonham on like?
All those slow jams come with pre-programmed drums. What's up with that?
Okay.
Anyway.
So, but all
Let
right,
you
well,
pretend
we
though.
veered way off already.
But yeah,
You
but
can
the whole
do that on PC.
But
yes, but
right,
the whole
you could
point
do
was
that.
the whole
Yeah,
point
we're
was
back
you
to
could do it
playing
for
on
free
PC.
on a PC.
That's cool, except for
still
the
gotta
cost
buy
of the
the-
guitar.
But
You
if
still
you're
got to buy the
playing it,
guitar.
you still got to buy the guitar. But if you already got it,
If you already have it for your Xbox.
Frankie Goes to Hollywood, be proud.
You could maybe like say if you've got your own garage band or something and you want to turn your
your horrible songs into like horrible games for people, you can probably upload those.
What a ringing endorsement.
Yeah, you could probably
going on the
upload
box.
those.
Turn your horrible songs into horrible games.
Sign up
Awesome.
today.
So I've been
there.
playing a couple things.
What are they? John?
One is Infernal, and I said a week or two ago here that if the game got better, I would come on here and eat my words. That did not happen. No, I'm kidding. It did. That did happen. It got better. So
Really?
I want to say that. It
You
did.
need to eat the YTMNDs that have been made about your your last.
Well, listen,
full endorsement.
I don't take back the stupidness of the plot. The
Yeah.
plot is still completely. In fact, it actually gets dumber as it goes on.
Yeah.
Because you're a fallen angel. I'm going to spoil it. So if you really care about the plot for Infernal, maybe hit pause or fast forward on your podcast playback. But so you're a fallen angel. You're like working for Satan now or whoever. They don't actually call him Satan.
Mm-hmm.
And you're fighting heaven. But then it turns out that like the forces of heaven are like bad. So actually you're a good guy after all. That's like the
What
big
a twist!
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Oh.
which is like might be mildly offensive to some folks, I would think.
That's pure blasphemy.
That's pure
really.
Don't you
metal
think?
right there.
Yeah.
But you know,
It's like a
from what I played early on, though, I mean, like that game plays the gravitas of like Doll Man versus the demonic toys. So I'm really
No,
not
dude,
expecting
it's at least Iron Maiden's Eddie on the back of a denim vest.
And in fact, that's kind of the soundtrack they've got going. Every time there's any type of shooting, you're going to start shooting because they crank up the like 70s arena metal,
the trooper.
which is a little bit much. Okay, all
So
I'm
why
doing
is this
all I'm
better?
doing is dissing it again. And the gameplay's rote, and the AI sucks.
But
Other than that, no. There's quite a bunch of sequences in the later part of the game that I found very entertaining. So I was enjoying it myself in spite of myself.
Cool.
And I was actually wondering out loud to you guys earlier if it was in fact Stockholm syndrome, which we've talked about here before. Because sometimes when you're just forced to play a game, you start liking it just because you're kind of trapped.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm wasting my entire weekend on this, it must be good. But it really was. I was getting less frustrated and I was getting more entertained. It's basically an amalgam of like every single thing every other shooter has kind of done before. It's more in the Half-Life 2 or Half-Life series school of puzzles and shooting rather than just straight up shooter.
Yeah.
So you keep getting to places in the levels that are like, well, how do I get past this place? And you'll be stumped for a while. And a bunch of the times, the answer is utterly annoying and stupid.
I'm
But
guessing-
a few of the times, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was guessing like use your temporary teleport to get through a barrier, flip
Yep.
a switch that lowers the barrier, go
Yep.
back to your original position,
Yep,
walk through it.
it's that stuff.
That stuff can be fun. That stuff's
No, it
important.
is fun. It's fun. It's satisfying to figure it out.
I mean, if I described Half-Life, I'm like, yeah, find out that there's some obstacle, whip out your gravity gun, blast
Right.
the
well, you're right.
obstacle
It's
out
like
of
we
the
were saying
way.
before. It's
The
your tone of voice can
Yeah.
change it. And so
Zelda's the
solving
same
some
way.
of those puzzles is fun.
Well, as long as there isn't like a bunch of annoying cutscenes that kind of spoil it for you, like
There aren't. In fact, thank God, because the one that there is awful.
Cutscenes advance the story.
Yeah.
Isn't that a,
Yeah.
Are you still later on in the game like bulletproof?
Yeah, but they did along with having every other cliche of shooters in there, they do the one where they take away all your shit,
Yeah.
like
Yay.
2/3 of the way through.
Oh.
Like, never seen that one before. So all of a sudden you're back to having nothing and no
You touched
demonic powers.
Do
you touch
do
the red
you,
crystal and you're human.
Do you have your shoulder dislocated and have to put it back in like last week's Lost?
No,
All right.
that hurt.
Just grunt
That's
it
just
out.
a
It'll be
watch.
fun.
It just looks so painful when they do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen anything that moved me that much since Rambo pulled out the bullets from his own leg.
Oh, when Mel Gibson did it.
Used
Lethal
to
Weapon 1.
like, yeah, he heated up his Rambo knife. Rambo heated up his Rambo knife to cauterize his own wound.
So anyway, I haven't written the review yet, but it would have gotten a bad review, and I'm gonna up it into the better range. We'll see how far. But it I don't know how many other good single player first person shooters there are these days. If you just have some time to kill and like to play that kind of thing, maybe not a bad choice. No multiplayer in this game, by the way. It's all single player, and it was pretty long too. So it was. I'm done. Got nothing else.
Fair enough.
The other game I want to talk about though is I finally started playing Sam and Max
Oh, cool.
Episode 1. Fan-frickin-tastic. I love it.
I
And
do
I'm
too.
really sorry I waited until now to start playing it. I don't know what my problem is.
Well, actually, the good
No,
news is
you
that you start playing it now, and you'll be like, by the time the final segment's ready, you'll be caught up
Yeah,
to
you'll
it.
be all
Mhm.
caught up.
I think I have to admit, I think a part of me was worried about being disappointed. As an old school player who played the original Sam and Max and all those other LucasArts games, I know we're going to segue into Ryan talking about LucasArts games in a moment, but you know, I really just thought, oh, it's just going to be like when Cosby came back the second time. It's just not going to be as funny. You know, it's going to be sort of like a pale imitation of itself. But actually, I thought the humor really was good.
There's another example for the nerds out there when Frank Miller came back to not only The Dark Knight Returns,
oh, there you go,
but All-Star Batman.
God.
And came back as a parody of himself.
That was wretched. Holy cow.
Dark Knight Returns was terrible.
Well,
did you read All-Star?
Did you read All-Star Batman?
No, I didn't read All-Star Batman.
Yeah, that's
that and All-Star Superman were
Oh,
winners.
damn.
I have to correct you because you're going to have 10,000.
Yeah, what'd I say wrong?
Boards. Dark Knight Returns. That was the good one. Dark Knight Strikes
Strikes
Again.
Strikes
Oh,
Again,
okay,
Strikes
yeah,
Again,
thank
yeah,
you.
that's
No,
it.
I didn't mean the first one. Right.
Yeah, that's the
yeah,
bad
that
one.
would have been.
Thank
you, Ryan, for
Thank
saying
you,
that.
Ryan.
It's not even worth dissing Strikes Again when you compare it to All-Star Batman.
Actually,
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
true.
finish Strikes Again. I didn't even finish reading it. I put it away.
Well, they
His
just
wife,
stopped
Lynn
doing
Varley, was
All-Star.
coloring it. It was like you gave Ralphie the goddamn Crayola box,
Yeah.
a digital Crayola
You're
box. And you can't even stay inside the lines. What the hell is that?
That's art. So I highly recommend it if you haven't checked it out. Is it only available on GameTap? Is that
Well,
right?
it's on GameTap
Downloadable
first, and
on-
then they provide it later through the
It's
Telltale
usually
site.
like 2
Okay,
weeks after.
so if you
it
are an
goes.
adventure game fan, if you're a fan of the old LucasArts games, if you have not checked this
Hook
out,
me up. Hook me up.
telltale.com.
I think they get better as they go along too. So if you like,
And
that much,
I've only played the first episode, and I thought it was hilarious. Yeah.
I think 2 and 4 are my favorites.
Abe Lincoln Must Die.
Bravo to Telltale.
That's awesome that there are already 4 of them out.
5.
That's awesome that there are already 5 of them.
They're actually episodic.
There's
What
one.
the hell?
There's
is
one more in the season. So
I hope this leads them to do other
it's
games.
good stuff.
like
It
this.
really builds on the recurring themes too. Like
Mhm.
it handles it a lot like a sitcom would in terms of like repeating jokes, and it's not like
Uh-huh.
bad repeating. It's like, hey, that actually built up to something after 5 episodes. Very
Mhm.
cool.
I have really not literally laughed out loud at a game in a long, long time, and I did.
Oh, God.
This
That was
weekend.
actually trying to make you laugh out loud.
It was.
Right.
It
I
was.
don't know if I've
Yeah, that
ever
was
done
trying.
that.
That was actually a humor game, quote
Yeah.
unquote. This one
I
was trying to
know
be
I've
funny,
never-
and it made me laugh quite a bit. So there you go. And I set yourself up there, Ryan.
And there's
I
a quote
set
from the
you up.
box.
Speaking of
Wow.
LucasArts games,
Yeah, speaking of Sam and Max, I've been playing some older LucasArts games over the past probably couple weeks, but I've been playing them on my PSP.
What?
you're fired.
I'm
Do
probably
tell.
I'm probably a little bit I'm probably a little bit late to this, but you can actually mod your PSP to play things that you aren't really necessarily supposed to. And somebody made a PSP version of the Scum VM emulator, which is
Yeah, are we supposed to be plugging the PSP on the Games for Windows podcast?
Well, if you're hacking
Is
it,
there some
maybe.
kind of like Microsoft device we can
Actually,
plug
this is a
instead?
Microsoft employee because now that Ryan's mentioning on the podcast, they're going to like issue another firmware update or whatever that's going to make it
Oh.
so that you can't use the Scum.
Awesome.
emulator.
They
But
do
you will
that
get an
anyway.
achievement point for listening to this podcast.
That's true. At least one.
Please buy Microsoft products. Anyway, continue, Ryan.
So somebody made this version of this emulator for the PSP,
hmm
and it works surprisingly well for these LucasArts games.
So they're total direct ports of all those.
Well, it's an emulator that you run. You copy your game into a folder and tell the emulator where to look, and it loads. It's the original game.
And you can save your games and all that
You
stuff.
can save your games.
Yeah,
So what games?
I've been playing. I played Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Uh-huh.
I played some
That's a
Indiana
good one.
Jones and the Fate of Atlantis.
Uh-huh.
Classic.
On an indie kick. And I tried to play Zack McCracken, but
Oh, I love Zach.
That's a
I
great game.
hate that game.
He was
I
sure
hate that
what?
game.
That I was never able to get anywhere in that game.
Oh, that was my
That was
first
the
one.
one.
Oh, you
LucasArts
hate it because
game.
you're stupid.
Well, pretty much.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we won't have to argue then.
Okay.
No, that was when
Case
Ryan
closed.
when Ryan showed it to me. He was like, he put on like Day of the Tentacle. I'm like, holy crap! I so have to like convert my PSP right now.
Yeah, it's
I will risk
Maniac Mansion, is that on there?
all. Yeah, you
All
can
of them?
play any of the
Damn.
old LucasArts Scum games up through Curse of Monkey Island.
The
full
Dude.
throttle.
Even.
Full throttle.
Full Throttle was on there too?
I'm gonna be playing that.
Yeah.
Are you actually? I mean, am I missing something? Are you actually advocating emulators, or?
In this case,
Hey, I own all the original games.
Well, it got all
I'm
quiet
not doing
here.
anything illegal.
I'm like, am I hearing this right? All right.
The thing is, I own half these games. I can't get them to run on a PC anymore. So it's like, what other option you got?
There we
Scum
go.
VM.
Yeah, I don't know.
PC
If this is
version.
a little bit
Cognitive
of-
dissonance eliminated.
No, a little bit of gray area. You're right. Thank you
yeah,
for
it is.
calling on us. I guess we probably shouldn't be.
I was
But I
kinda
guess that's
excited.
sort of what I was thinking too. Like I played and own all these games on PC. That doesn't necessarily make it right.
And
Now, does it?
I'm playing the version. I copied it straight from my CD-ROM.
Oh, okay.
to
Well, that's
Right,
that's a whole
you
nother
know?
story then.
Yeah.
Right. I wasn't thinking about downloading.
Oh, yeah,
an
okay.
Oh no,
illegal
no,
version.
no. Yeah.
All right. Now that we got that clear,
Okay.
Say
Phew! Wow.
Phew. Man, dodge that bullet.
Piracy advocation averted.
2 achievement points.
Okay.
That's gonna get old quick. I'll stop that.
Did you get more to say on that topic?
Scum adventure games still fun after all this time. So
Hooray for
anyway,
Scum.
you can check them out if you haven't already. Check them out.
Okay. Mr. Malloy?
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, well, World of Warcraft. I don't know. I haven't really been playing a lot of PC games, so I'm going to be real boring. I did go back to Gears of War co-op for some reason. I think the co-op talk last week.
Oh, got you back into the
We were
co-op.
back into that. Going, you know what? I'm going to go back and play that. And we were playing on insane, and it's not that insane. And that's it.
Just mildly crazy.
Yeah, mildly crazy.
I'm gonna have to enforce some we
To
only
be
play
honest.
PC games rule here at this magazine.
I did play WoW.
You got him playing the 360 thing. He's playing
Hey,
his
I'm playing
PS3.
PC.
Freeware, buddy. Freeware.
I'm representing the true
I
school. I'm just not
downloaded-
bringing it up because I've talked enough about
Oh,
it.
your submarine game.
No,
that-
IL Sturmovik.
Oh, Isle Sturmovik.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I downloaded another PopCap game.
You did.
I was on like a.
Which one's this?
The medallion matching one. I can't remember what it was called.
Oh.
Medallion Mania or something like
You
that.
need to listen. You need to listen to my words and get feeding frenzy. Feeding frenzy. I was talking about feeding frenzy. We actually had a technical difficulty.
We did.
there.
We had a little glitch. So this
It
is
crashed.
Yeah, it crashed.
But pick up that we're not losing any momentum. We just
No,
did
no, no.
another line.
Okay.
And Jeff, you're ready.
Oh, about Peggle.
Yeah.
Right. I was talking about Peggle. Peggle. It's starting. I'm at the point of my addiction now where it's actually the game's starting to bum me out only because I'm taking it so seriously now. Like at first,
Yeah.
you're just like watching the ball go and like, wee, it's like pachinko. And then you start realizing you actually have some control over the ball, and then once you realize you have control, then you start wanting to control it more. So now, like every shot of mine, I'm like planning it out. I'm like getting annoyed if I don't get this many pegs in one shot, or if it bounces a different way that I'm thinking it will.
Are you rubbing the screen like some sad, sorry gambler? You know, like playing Mega Touch or whatever. You know, they try to like they work some voodoo on it, trying to get the get all the cherries, get 3 cherries or whatever. You know what I'm talking about, right? You've been
I
to a
do,
casino.
sure. I do that at
See
in
old
Vegas.
ladies pulling that.
Have like that, just like a mile-long ash on their cigarette, and they're just
Yeah.
like hanging in there waiting.
Half of it's in the change drawer. So if you do win, you kind of don't want to win because you're going to get a handful of ash and a couple of nickels.
Yeah, I got my little bucket of quarters sitting down there. No, but I'm definitely going from where I was just like watching it, going, "This is great,"
Yeah.
to now, like after every shot, I'm like, "Fuck!"
Right. That's
You
what I'm
know?
saying.
Yeah,
That's,
you need to move on.
you're playing the high stakes
Yeah.
table on that.
Yeah,
You know, I
move
mean,
on to
you've got.
Cake Mania or something.
right.
It's like playing like a high stakes roulette or whatever. That wheel starts spinning the wrong way. That's no laughing matter.
Oh.
That's not like unicorns and rainbows and all else. That's
I'm not seeing that shit anymore. I'm not seeing the
serious business.
cutesy backgrounds anymore. Yeah.
you're seeing yourself a comp buffet dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do we have next on our agenda? Oh yeah, our cover story.
Before we did that,
That
I
little
wanted
thing?
to break up Heroes of the Web this week.
Okay,
Yeah, okay.
And have one now and one later.
we have more than one hero.
Such a
this week.
teaser.
Awesome.
So, the first one, this might sound utterly stupid because I haven't done this. I don't have a voice for who this is, but I'm going to make one. Today, online, courtesy of Craigslist.org, always a source of magic.
Always a great source of
Especially-
material.
But
yeah.
but mainly the casual encounters section of Craigslist.
Or-
yeah,
or-
but not safe for work, we should say,
Right.
or for minors. If you're
So-
under 18,
Always
don't
check
go
the-
there.
Actually, best of the web too. Or best of the list.
I think best of the list.
Best
yeah,
of the
something
list?
like that.
So if you don't know Craigslist, this is basically the sort of like the personals page of a giant, massive online personals, and you can post
They also
whatever
it's
you
also
want.
a big classifieds, right?
and classifieds
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yes.
So, okay, going along with the picture of a woman with some bangs that looks like she was graduated with me in high school in 1993. Might have been on the cheerleader squad with like the hair that's like 7 inches above, her skull.
Mall hair.
We have the following posting. Hello, I need 5,000 world of gold for my epic flying mount. In return, you can mount me. You have to have an account on the Laughing Skull server, and I want 5,000 gold before we do anything. We can make the trade at your place since I can't host. Edit. Because I'm having a lot of dumb guys message me who clearly don't have the gold, make sure to send a picture of yourself and a screenshot of your character with the 5,000 gold. I will be checking armory profiles, thanks. I play a level 70 elf druid and would prefer someone who is into role-playing. I have a costume. But honestly, and imagine, like, if I sound like a man doing this, just imagine I have, like, more children than I have teeth, and then as I continue. But honestly, anyone will do, as long as you have the gold. I would also be okay with the woman, too, as long as you have the gold. Also, not adverse to the idea of groups/anal. Hold on. I'm not done. Please send a pic and be real. Drug/disease-free with 5,000 gold and on the Laughing Skull server. So this became a legendary YTMND, which is short for You're the Man Now Dog. If you don't know what that is, welcome to the internet. And then later on in the day, she posted again on Craigslist. And this time, her posting was called Epic Mount Success Story W4M31 Tribeca. Okay. Hey, I'd just like to thank all the jackasses that thought it would be funny to post my picture all over the internet and make 50,000 thread forums. I got my Epic Mount in about an hour, and that was very enjoyable for both parties, while all of you idiots probably spent hundreds of don't even have them. You idiots probably spent hundreds of don't even have them. I read that right. I won't be revealing my name or his, but suffice to say, if I find any one of you in-game, I will be killing you 280% faster. Would also like to tell you punks to take a hike. Punks. I'm planning to meet him again later this week. He's getting double value. So talk all the trash you want. I got my epic flying mount, and I got laid, which is more than most of you failures could ever hope for.
Hey, wait a second.
That's quite an attitude for
She's
like
from
a
Tribeca?
prostitute.
Yeah.
That's
It's
New
like,
York.
hey, I got 50
It's
bucks
like New York City.
and I got laid.
Yep.
Oh, well.
That's
Wow.
a hero.
Okay.
That's heroism.
That's an awesome use of the armory, though.
It is. You're right.
I was wondering what.
And
the
of
point was.
Craigslist.
Yes. Using the tools of technology.
She used the tools of technology to get her epic mount and get laid.
Scratch
And
it.
get
all in
mounted-
one
and-
afternoon.
2
and-
inches on one post.
And get mounted epically.
So, ha ha.
Right.
Wow.
Wah, wah.
So now back to
How many guys are going to try this now?
back to serious
on,
line.
Craigslist?
Oh,
I
God.
don't know.
The floodgates are open.
Well,
Yeah.
not counting this one. I mean,
Yeah.
like, what are the odds that was that was really a female?
Well, if it was a male, he still got laid, I guess. So more power to him.
Okay, so
Maybe we should
next topic.
Take a break?
take a break here.
Okay,
actually.
we're going to take a break while
Good time.
everyone
You gonna leave me
digests that
hanging like
Craigslist
that?
story. Sorry, Sean.
Just
you
met
can
that
pick it
out,
up.
Edit that. I don't feel good about this, guys.
Just marinate on that one for a little.
I feel waja. All right, let's take a
Sorry.
break.
We'll be right back.
Someone bring the conch. I think, is that how that word said? I don't know. Conch.
Shell.
Conch.
Conch.
Conch?
Is it
shell.
conch?
Might be conch. I think it's
Conch.
I think it's a
I thought it was
conch
conch.
shell.
Raging.
No one really ever says that.
I don't know.
It's
You,
a conch salad.
you collected them in Jaws for the NES. Remember that?
Wow, I always thought it was conch.
I think it might be
I think Rachel Ray said conch.
Okay,
Really?
are we ready?
Also being recorded. Yeah.
You're listening to Legendary Threat.
I do have all that recorded.
See, we're back already. Sean, you were saying?
I was saying, it's time to talk a little bit about Company of Heroes, opposing fronts.
Yeah.
That's not opposing forces.
Right, sorry.
So yeah,
All
the
these
word's
game
out.
names
Our
sound the
issue's
same.
out now. The press release went out for the game.
Uh-huh.
So it seems like I'm going to have to refresh my memory because in magazine time, it's been quite a while since I went to Vancouver and visited Relic in their studios there and had a look at the game.
That was one issue ago for us.
I know.
In
And
the
that
real
was
world, that's
about,
like 2
what,
months
60
ago?
3
days
months
of my
or something,
time.
yeah.
So That's the sad thing. We always talk about, like, I mean, if we were online, it would be so much easier for the people that say, you guys need something to talk about. It's like we have plenty to talk about, but there's always like gag orders on everything we do have to talk about.
Pretty much. Yep.
Like any of the stuff, like what I went and saw last week would be perfect too, you know?
And it was so great.
Yeah. But that's got that in. So,
yep.
Company Heroes Opposing Fronts. What we know, it's a standalone game in the way that the last Dawn of War, about
Dark
to say
Crusade.
expansion, is in the way that the Dark Crusade, worked, where you don't need to have the original game, and that's cool because you're able to sell a lot more people on it, and then instead of fragmenting your existing player base, you're just adding to it, which is cool. And you play in it. The big hope immediately when I went there, I think I was along. I have this in common with everyone else that read the press release or got our issue and saw, Brits and Canadians on the screens and didn't see, the Red Army. Was it like, what's going on?
Yeah, right. And Canada,
and not only that,
they weren't in the war.
And not only that, and I'll have to justify this because I mean, more power to them. I love, but you just looking at it from the gamer's perspective, you want variety, you want something different. And the worry is that if they do include the Tommies, that they're basically going to amount to reskinned, Yanks, that they're going to take the American armies and just put new skins on them. And they're also not known for, I mean, when you're thinking of like a big variety of vehicles and stuff, I mean, you've got, I don't know, British armor's not that appealing to me. The Churchills and, some of their lighter tanks, the Centaur and stuff, they're not quite as exciting as, some of the Soviet tanks, Katyushas and all their other, wild stuff that they had. So, and then I was looking for like, okay, well, maybe they would have, Husky in Italy. Maybe they would have Torch. I mean, and maybe they'd have some different geography and looking maps and stuff. But once again, it was like post D-Day. So I was really skeptical. I was like, oh no, what's the deal? And I'm being honest with this about this, and I think I shared that with a lot of people when they first saw it. But then they fire it up, and Josh, lead designer, starts showing me the stuff. And I was really like, okay, I see what's going on here. And basically, without like spoiling everything, that we have in the story, the Brits play radically different, in a radically different fashion than the American allies do. The whole way that like they're organized. I mean, so instead of having, their HQ system's different. Every HQ they have is a mobile base that they can pick up and move. And then when you park it somewhere, it deploys. And so basically they work in a whole nother way. Instead of trying to cap as much territory and as many resources as you can and then holding it down and creeping forward, you can just choose, like, we're going to focus on these 3, and then we're just going to, like, tech them up so that they put out as much as the 5 that the other guys hold do. The way that, there's an officer system where captains and lieutenants are working differently than, even in because they have, like, the lieutenant and the Wehrmacht side already, but these guys work even, in a different way. And so as I'm looking at it, it just turns out it's really cool. I'm like, this is a whole nother way to play it. And then when you start combining these guys, especially when you're playing multiplayer and you combine, like along any of the regiments, because instead of, Americans have companies and there's doctrines for the Axis and the original Company Heroes, the British here have regiments, and the Panzer Elite have I think they're back to doctrines too.
So do you really think it's going to change a lot of gameplay tactics then, or gameplay strategies?
I think it will massively change because, I mean, I'm kind of like, as I'm talking, I'm like, I keep stopping because I'm thinking like, well, how much should I give away right now?
Yeah.
I want you kids to go and buy our goddamn magazine. but yeah, I mean, I'll pick one example, and that would be the way that the artillery works. And they have the Priest mobile artillery unit. The Brits have the Priest mobile artillery unit, and not only does it mean, you have firepower equivalent to the American howitzers where you're able to, like, just project your force across the entire map, but you're able to, like, stay mobile while you're doing it so that they can't, figure out where you're at and come kill you, take it over or whatever. But then the varieties of fire that you're able to employ with these howitzers is just insane. So one would be a walking barrage, and that's basically where you draw out a line of fire in the same way that you would with, like, where you're going to have your P-47 go on a strafing run or something. But you're basically going to, like, walk heavy artillery fire along that line. So if you have a clear sense that, okay, if I start artillery on this point, they're going to want to retreat this way. And they're going to retreat that way because they're obstructed from any other angle. You can actually have them retreat into more artillery or something would be one example there. wildly devastating if you get this stuff on their back base, because you can just draw a line basically across like some of their major structures and rain hell on them that way.
At that point, they're essentially boned.
I don't know. I don't think so, because they still have there's still a lot of options. There's some really cool stuff with the Panzer Elite that I'll have to talk about too. But and then another option would be to designate an area for not an area, but just to designate barrage fire and counter battery fire. And what that means is you're basically in lockdown mode. You're not doing anything. But the moment that the Axis throws some kind of artillery or Nebelwerfers or anything like that at you, you're immediately going to work out the trajectory of that, and then immediately retaliate with your own heavier artillery and more precise artillery. So that's a cool technique. And then there's the other one where you designate an area that you're going to overwatch. And so if something enters in this area, like say there's like a resource, right? But you have to move away from it, and you're not going to be able to defend it that much, but you still want to keep it.
Like Tiberium or what?
Well, in the game, it's all I guess I'm assuming people know about the game, but the only resources in are fuel, ammunition, and manpower. So no Tiberium. No Tiberium.
No kryptonite in that game.
But so like say a fuel depot, right? You want to just cover it. It's an important area for you. Or if like maybe there's an area you're trying to get your infantry to because you want the houses and the firing positions that it affords, but you're like, hey, I'm going to be a bastard, and if I can't get to it first, I'm going to just like nuke the whole thing. So as soon as they enter that area, you're going to immediately start attacking them with your artillery, blow it all to hell. And that's just one of the regiments. I mean, there's all kind. I mean, there's a lot of nuance in the intelligence-based one, where you have the equivalence of the Enigma cipher, where you're able to keep track of what the enemy's doing, how they're organizing their tech tree, when they're actually creating and deploying units. You create triangulation by setting up, three of these like posts, and then just basically opening the map through the fog of war in that area for you. And then like a lot of rad decoy stuff in that too. So like if you can spoof the enemy into thinking that artillery barrages are coming down onto them, or you can spoof them into thinking that a glider force is about to deploy. And for all the fun that comes out of that, depending on how well you employ your tactics. I mean, you could tell your teammate, hey, I'm going to scare these guys right now, and I'm just or I'm going to convince them. I'm just going to repeatedly spoof them with fake artillery to the point where they're like, okay, this guy's just crying wolf again, and then you can launch the real shit on them and just like completely annihilate them. That stuff's really fun. And then so since I'm on it now, like in the way that the two armies like work against one another, the Axis side have the Panzer Elite, and
so you get to play as the Nazis now.
Yeah, and the Panzer Elite is about as good a euphemism as any for SS divisions, I guess. But I mean, that's a key point in the game too, because you do play one campaign from the Axis perspective, and that would be, of course, Operation Market Garden, and they know. Duh. It's like they didn't have to have someone come in and say, like, that might be, some touchy subject matter.
Right.
Yeah.
So they made sure to, in a way that satisfied them. I'm staying out of it. I don't know. I mean, if I'm offended or not. I mean, I'm so used to playing. I mean, when you play war games from every perspective multiplayer anyway, I mean, to confess, it's not shocking to me if I'm going to be just like an average, Wehrmacht soldier in whatever kind of scenario, as long as I'm not the Gestapo or SS and stuff, But not to hero, I don't think they're heroes or anything. But because as a gamer, you're like, that's an experience that I can go for. It would be interesting to see how it works. I mean, I'm used to playing, and online, I mean, it's the same thing. Everyone that's like, no, let's join another game. I got dibs on the Axis side. They have fun armor. I mean, they've got the fun hardware and stuff from like detaching history from it.
Right.
Fun.
From
You're
the
not
toy,
saying the Holocaust was fun.
from the toy perspective, they've got
There's your next soundbite.
they've got the good armor and stuff. But so what they're doing is they're picking a point in the war where they could say they're no longer in the middle of an act of aggression. And again, let's just put quotes, put parentheses around everything I'm saying. This is I'm trying to reproduce the point of view that as Relic's point of view as I understand it. So you got a point where they are basically falling back, and they're attempting to, defend the fatherland more so than abiding, Hitler's campaign orders and stuff, and worried about, their wives and girlfriends and stuff back home and their families. And so I don't think that they're even especially interested in humanizing it that much, but it is something that's interesting to see what they do with it because the game does use cutscenes and stuff. I mean, if it were just if it were just an RTS that just said, here's a battle and let's simulate it in the same way that, like, I'm playing IL-2, and a lot of times you will do a mission from the Luftwaffe position.
Right.
It just doesn't really bother to there's no characters or anything. It's like it's just men and machines, But this game can't just say that because it does have the cutscenes, and you are supposed to identify with the people that you're fighting with and care when the next cutscene says that they've been killed or some other tragic turn of events has happened. So yeah, that's kind of make of it what you will. It's all going to be. I'm not going to
Well, I'm just trying to rack my brain here about other games that let you play from the Axis side. I'm just trying to...
Warfront, Turning Point, a lot of CDV games actually. Now that I think about it.
Yeah. Good God, there's probably a bunch of people out there listening that are like this.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. It's just we're podcasting and we tend to have brain freeze when things like this happen.
It's the end of the day as we're recording this.
I thought part of the plan. They didn't do it though, did they? But I know at one point part of the plan for Brothers in Arms was to do a little of that.
They were talking about that at one point.
Yeah,
I think it was for the second one.
They did it for the second one.
I could see strictly from a military strategy perspective.
Strategy and tactical
if you were that,
point of view.
if you're that kind of player, the chance to play a different side where different tactics are being used and where maybe terrain makes a bit of difference or whatever would be interesting. But the history is tough, or it's going to be tough for some people.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And so another thing that sets that, like, in terms of the action of that part of the campaign, I mean, clearly it was a wipeout for the Allies at Market Garden, but they'll be, playing as a Panzer Elite, you'll be blowing up a lot of bridges and stuff like that. Looked really cool. Using some really cool armor that we talk about in the story. When I say armor, I'm just like dork talk for tanks, armored fighting vehicles. So, self-propelled artillery types, personnel carriers. Which one cool thing about the game now is that you can actually garrison troops in, half tracks and stuff in the same way that you could always put them in someplace, but now it works in the way that garrisoning in a building would. So everyone is actually firing from it. So no matter what they have. So if you had a crew and they had 5 Panzer Shreks among them, they would you could do a drive-by on a tank with that bad boy and hit them with 5.
So there's going to be more firepower depending on how many guys are inside.
Guys are in there, and at the same time, for the reward, there's the risk of someone getting a grenade, and they're doing a 3-pointer on you and getting a grenade in there, and then everyone jumps out. It was cool. I mean, the animations in, you see everyone just man overboard scenario, but they don't always make it. And that stuff's cool. I mean, again, they're really playing on the detail of the engine to communicate things through the animation. So the British guys, when they actually move differently. British infantry move differently than the other armies. So they have sort of a tentative, cautious stance posture that they assume when they're in uncontrolled territory. And it means that they're slower, but it also means that they're able to get to cover quicker and return fire faster if they are ambushed or something.
The Brits ought to do the silly walks from Monty Python. That'd be cool.
So you could see all that.
Yeah.
And other big things that their Relic's introducing with the game was dynamic weather.
Yeah. Dynamic weather.
Okay, so Darren's signing me a note, giving away too much. Okay, we'll just wrap it up then. But the dynamic
sure, make
weather,
me the bad guy. You suck.
The dynamic weather is cool. I mean, I think it's you're like, what's the big deal about that? But in material terms, in the way that you're going to experience the game, it does matter because if you're going to have a persistent type mission where you go and you take one bit of terrain, and then you're going to hold that overnight, and then the time's going to change, and it's going to be another time of day, and it's going to retain all the damage that you've done to the environment, and then the counterattack's going to be launched. That's cool. And then also just gives another vibe to the maps you've been playing. I mean, they're upgrading all the old maps with the new DX10 support and the weather changes and all that. So
do you think is going to hit the performance though? I know it's probably really early to say, but I worry about things like that when I hear about weather systems.
Yeah.
Oh, great! I get to upgrade my processor.
That's
again.
Actually, I'm confused. I'm saying weather, and that's time of day. What I'm talking about. The weather, of course, is that it can rain, and maybe it will.
It can slow down units,
and it can
track
snow and
stuff.
And it actually does. It will turn dirt to mud, and it can slow you down. And it's so detailed that if you do zoom in, I mean, you could actually hear the rain bouncing off your tank armor and stuff. And
you zoom in, do you see their faces?
Dude, inside jokes, man.
So I'm sorry. Yeah.
People won't get that.
No.
So Yeah, I guess that's
Nice.
that's about all Babylon about.
Wait,
about that for now.
if it snows, does the snow? This is a serious question. Does the snow persist on the ground?
Yeah, I don't
Because
think
that's
it's
something
not
game
like,
developers have been trying to do
it's
for a while
not doing
now.
it like, I mean, obviously in a RTS, it's not pulling it off where every
You're not going to be in a
snowflake is
blizzard.
If it's its own polygon, and then they accumulate. You kick them around.
Well, I wonder how many developers can do it, but just go. That would just take up so much processing time.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
so
Well,
not
I'm sure what they do is they
trade-off.
swap in snow-covered assets. You know, you basically they take the same
texture.
asset, the texture, and then paint
Right.
repaint a
Because
snow-covered version.
wouldn't it be great if
Fade
over time on a map, if a road just got blizzarded in,
Yeah.
you know,
Or-
and then
or-
you just
that'd
couldn't
be
use
cool.
it anymore?
Or even let's say you go over a muddy road or a snowy road, and
Mhm.
it leaves the tracks of the vehicle that went through it, and then over time it slowly covers it up so you don't know who was there.
I mean, there's
Right,
there's
right.
versions of that like fighting games, you know, like in Dead or Alive or something,
Yeah.
or
Virtua Fighter or whatever.
Virtual Fighter. Yeah, you're walking around in the snow and you see your footprints are kind of like
But that
Kinda
doesn't affect
works.
gameplay, does it?
I don't think so.
It's
No,
kind
it
of there
just
for
looks-
frosting.
it's a visual
Something
thing.
where it actually gives you
Looks
clues as to
cool.
who was there or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, ending on that, I will say check out the story in the magazine, of course, because the Panzer Elite's doctrines are really cool. And again, in the same way that the bridge stuff, fundamentally different than the Americans.
Okay,
Panzer
so
Elite
to sum up, Sean says Nazis are cool.
is definitely different than that. Oh, come on.
That's the thread we can start here
wow.
on One Up.
Now I'm waiting for you to give me
I'm
shit because for the next 2 weeks I'm going to be gone because I'm going to Ireland and Munich.
oh,
So
you're going to Munich.
Yeah,
it
there you
all
go.
fits
yeah.
together.
Now it's
There
all
we go.
making sense.
Uh-huh.
Perfect.
Yep, I
So
see.
That's cover story, huh?
True colors come out.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad you didn't talk about the biggest feature. Which
yeah,
is,
well, the other thing,
dragons.
well, the thing that I was going to transition with is the next big topic we wanted to talk about,
Oh,
carrying
right.
on with what
Yep.
with what has appeared on One Up and then also in the One Up Yours podcast, is Games for Windows Live initiative and how it's going to work. A big part of that has been asking third-party developers
Mm-hmm.
what you think of it and will you use it. And while I don't have any confirmation from THQ, what they do tell me it definitely sounds like they really appreciate the possibilities of live. And basically, let me just say this: I would not be surprised at all if in the future they announce Games for Windows Live support for their games. So I'm not making the announcement, but
However,
again,
right.
I would not be surprised.
To clarify, no announcement has been made.
Right.
But those actually, you know what? It does make some degree of
That's
sense.
my own
Because
speculation.
THQ is pretty much early adopters with the whole live service. Like with I think
Mhm.
was it actually it was Relic's game on the 360. The outfit was it was one of the first
And-
multiplayer games.
And also, I mean, Company Heroes is a Games for Windows branded game.
Right. There's
which is
one of the
different.
first to get that branding.
Mhm.
Right. So
Yup.
they're obviously early adopters about that.
Yeah.
And I mean, we talked about this a little bit offline before the podcast. You know, the idea that for a game like Company of Heroes that was very critically acclaimed, but maybe didn't sell so well,
Right.
this is another chance for life for that game, to more publicity for it, just put it out there to a broader audience.
That game, it makes a special sense to me because see how much we have to fill listeners in, but basically some of the contention about Games for Windows Live from third parties has been the concern that if you do agree to be part of the program, you're not going to be able to offer workarounds to non-live subscribers for the voice over IP stat tracking and ranking and stuff like that. But because Company of Heroes doesn't use voice over IP and its ranking and stuff, it's nothing too spectacular. It's definitely there, and their matchmaking's there, but the matchmaking's really slow too and unwieldy. It's not unwieldy to use, but it's slow. It's kind of a burden. I think that's the kind of game that they wouldn't really, if they signed up, they would suddenly be offering their users a good deal more of content
Right. That makes
and
sense.
functionality without having anyone feel as though something had been taken away from them or that they were being forced to pay a monthly
Right.
fee in order to access it. And you know, achievements, I'm a skeptic of how achievements, but for the people that like them, again, you can imagine all the things they would be able to do with Company Heroes and achievements and stuff.
Right.
Voice over IP would be huge for it. I would like that.
Well, the games for Windows Live, I mean, you guys have talked about this a couple times on One Up Yours. It's been around, so we don't have to go into
Right.
ad nauseum. But, I mean, obviously the bigger problem is that many of the multiplayer games that are already big on the PC are not like Company of Heroes in that they do have very robust services
Yeah.
already for free.
Exactly. And so, I mean, you get in that scenario that I just described where as a consumer, you see, okay, I'm used to this and I'm used to that, but why am I paying for it now where I wasn't paying for it before?
Mm-hmm.
And then if the answer for some, I mean, Peter Moore's answer was, never underestimate the power of achievements. And some of us laugh in the face of that. Others that, I mean, to be fair, like I think I think it's going to be great for expanding, maybe convincing some diehard Xbox players to start playing on PC. That's fantastic. And they're going to go like, oh, this is cool. And I get to do all these things that that Microsoft's promising them. I get to have my same gamer tag, and I get to get more points here playing these games I've always been interested in, but I've kind of been worried about the complexity of the platform and stuff.
But now it won't be a waste of time because I get achievements for it.
Yeah, and they will think that.
I get my gold star.
People in this building, many people in this building feel exactly that same way. And you see him all the time. And I was going to accuse Sean Malloy of being an achievement whore when he said he was playing Insane on Gears of War co-op.
Hey,
it's like
I talked about liking achievements on here months ago.
Yeah, don't be just to be.
I'm not in
line with me. I mean,
right? No,
actually, I never quite got it myself.
But it does make less sense to me on the PC though. Mm-hmm. I mean, not the achievements part. That if I have Games for Windows Live on my PC, I will probably be a moron about the achievements there. But the problem for me is the barrier of the money, like it's going to be for many people. The barrier of paying for something I was getting for free.
What you're paying amounts to about $4 and some change a month.
Yes, it does. It doesn't add up to a whole lot.
And now before I know I'm going to say how much a month you pay for WoW, but of course what you feel you're getting back from that WoW subscription is going to differ from what Live is offering you at first. But
correct.
The point is, if you are employed, if you are an employed person or something, or you don't, live with your parents or something, the money doesn't. It's more the principle than the money.
Yes, it's the principle.
I had
That's
no
all
problems getting Live for Xbox. That was just
I paid for that, and I thought it was, and I still think it's a great service.
Right,
and you will not, since you subscribe to Xbox Live, you won't have to pay anymore. You're already signed up for GFW Live, and that's the other distinction that Microsoft wanted to make. Of course, is that you're getting something extra for what you already are committed to.
Right, but it's really more the principle as coming from the point of view from guys like Epic.
Yeah,
that's where the big problem is.
I think I'm playing devil's advocate the other way now because I've played for the past few weeks. I've had to play devil's advocate the other way, for the developers and against Microsoft. And again, I don't want anyone to think that it's like a lot of people are like, oh, he just completely ripped Microsoft or something, because there's some snippets of a larger interviews going up, but that's not the case at all. It's just more. I think it's more informative for everyone to play it against them.
It does, but this whole thing shows like what a huge uphill PR battle they have with this thing. Everyone's gut reaction is, what the hell?
Of course.
Why would I do this? This sounds stupid.
Right.
I mean, like we've already said, I totally agree with Sean in that. Like, this is it's a no-brainer for anyone who's like a console gamer first and maybe a PC gamer in second, if that. Like, they might want to dip their foot in the water, but I don't know, man. Like,
right. If you've been a long-time PC gamer, this seems not necessary and obtrusive.
Right.
Well,
it makes you fear. I mean, because we've all been trained to fear the Microsoft Borg, that it makes you fear that here's yet another Borg-like action.
I'm just trying to remember.
To take and co-opt the space that doesn't necessarily belong.
Right. Like first they take over a magazine.
No, but I was just remembering when Live first came out, with the original Xbox, it was really just a basic service. I mean, it was strictly matchmaking and not much more than that.
Right.
And as time went on with 360, they started rolling in these, more services, more options, and maybe that's what they're kind of going for. Maybe they're saying this. I mean, like at least the times I've talked with those guys, it's been like, okay, this is just the first step, getting towards a bigger picture plan for what they want to do.
They do.
But the thing is, they need to get to that bigger. They need to get that step sooner if they want to entice more PC gamers.
I don't know. After you were just explaining the Company of Heroes philosophy of like, okay, here's a game that doesn't have the voice over IP. I'm thinking maybe all it might take is a couple big games that don't have that to get on board, and then suddenly.
But you know what? If you use Ventrilo, I mean, like, or any other free TeamSpeak, whatever out there already.
Well, there's that built-in coordination
but against randoms. Yeah. You have to coordinate. You have to say like, "Hey,
here's my server. Here's this." With like, if there's two games, say that you play all the time, Company of Heroes and some other game that doesn't normally have built-in VoIP or whatever, suddenly maybe that $4 a month or whatever is totally worth it too.
Right.
So maybe like for a while we've all been saying, oh, it needs every developer on board, or else it's going to
It
tank.
just needs a couple key ones.
So maybe it's just a couple of these ones that aren't necessarily the huge ones that offer this stuff already. It might be the ones that don't.
The best case scenario, no initiative of this scale is like, flawlessly and fully functional right off the bat.
Right.
So it's going to take time in the same way that every kind of big thing takes time.
Mm-hmm.
The converse of that and the fear is that it will be like a flop in general, and it doesn't matter. No time at all is going to save it. But on the positive side, you give it time, like everything. Darren was saying, Xbox Live didn't amount to much right off the bat, and then you get the snowball effect where you have THQ join, and that's no small potatoes. I mean, if THQ, we've repeatedly kind of gave them props for being uniquely committed to the PC platform and offering AAA PC only games where other companies are entirely multi-platform. I mean, it would be huge. I mean, say for example, if Stalker, Supreme Commander, Titan Quest, and Company Heroes had all been Games for Windows Live game, that alone right there should be compel other people to say, hey, let's check this out too.
I will go ahead and say right now that if they put Titan Quest on Games for Windows Live and have achievements, I admit I will play it again to get the achievements from that game.
Okay.
I will, because I love that game, and if they give me another excuse to play it, which is what that would be.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I've beat it twice this way, but now I can try all these other things they want me to try.
Right.
You know what game they need on there?
No.
World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
Achievements
over all our dead
Achievements.
bodies.
Yeah,
Achievements
but-
in World of Warcraft.
But that's the exact example of a game that will probably never be on it, don't you think?
Yeah.
Why would Blizzard ever need to do
That's
this?
the number
Well-
one. I could never ever imagine Blizzard on, and these are words that we could all eat. But of course,
Yeah, sure.
And Valve. I mean, good God, can you imagine after Steam and
After
everything?
Right,
that
those are
they're like,
two-
oh, you know what? Yeah, it was kind of we were just dicking around all these years. Like, let's do
Right.
this.
Those are two big companies that you would think would just look at that initiative and go, yeah,
Right.
like we're going to do that. Like because they don't need Microsoft's
But maybe
help.
that's
No,
fine
exactly.
as long as Games for Windows Live gets enough big stuff. That's fine. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing prospect. And I think we're used to looking at it that way because that's all it is on Xbox. It's like
Right.
you really have no choice. So
Actually,
you get it, but you could have, what if there was a service like we all play, what if, I don't know, it'd be like if Steam suddenly started charging, and it was something really small, like what if it was like $1 a month or something, I think a lot of people would be like, okay, we've all been trained to appreciate what Steam has to offer us, and all the important games we play on it, like no big deal. And then you would still be playing like, Unreal and everything else too. I mean, I think there's just room for heterogeneity on this platform.
How about all the PopCap games on Games for Windows Live?
That would be
Peggle,
fun.
dude.
And
Peggle achievements.
achievements.
And when I did
there.
Garth at PopCap, when I did talk to them
Take much.
about Games for Windows Live, seemed really enthusiastic about it. And in the same way, I mean,
well, it makes
achievements
sense.
through this game's distribution, being able to play them easily online with people.
Well, not even
Right.
that. Like all their games are available on all these different platforms: PC, console, cell phones.
Yeah.
So if you follow that whole Live Anywhere initiative, being able to like pay once for Peggle and then being able to play it on any system, on anything you got.
Right.
Right,
share
and that
those
goes back
achievements.
to the initial vision that Bill Gates shared at
Right.
E3 back then, when it all seemed like a great idea, right? I mean, now that we're seeing some of it, not in execution, but now that details are dribbling out, all sorts of skepticism is coming in. But when Bill Gates had that big presentation where he was showing exactly what you're describing, Darren, where a game is existing on a cell phone and your computer and your laptop and your Xbox, then suddenly it does seem pretty cool.
It's something else.
You
I
pay for it
also
once.
asked JJ and Peter in the interview just about cross-platform play beyond Shadowrun, which is just basically play the same game and play it with just different interface, or the same interface if you want, but just different platforms. But beyond that, into the realm where you get like, I mean, you remember back when the rumors about what the next Halo would look like, and some people were like, there's going to be PC people playing from RTS perspective, and the console people.
Don't even get me started, dude.
So, but I mean, those sorts of things could, I don't know.
That seems like it requires like it to be a success first, and then people to latch on to that aspect.
But you know
Or do something like that and make it a success. And that's where the skepticism was, because it's like Ensemble, okay, they're making a console game now. The implications are that, it's going to be PC too, but without anyone really saying. And, I mean, that's in Darren, that's in the interview, I mean,
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
you can read between the lines and guess at it. But, like, I mean, that stuff's not reassuring. It's like FAST is being closed, as far as we know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't understand. The answer I got wasn't clear, but everything else I hear online and from FAST's
About FOSSA being
website,
shut down.
is that they're being shut down. And then so those sorts of things, you're like, okay, well those aren't the big killer. Where's the killer app going to come from that pulls everyone to it? Because again, when they truck out Halo 2, Shadowrun, and Uno, we're just like, it is easy to say it. Wow, wow,
You know, a game would be cool. Frontline's Fuel of War. If they put that in for live support,
that would be another really
game.
cool one. Yeah, and that's.
But you know what? But just going back to what you're talking about for a second with this cross-platform playing and stuff with two different types of gameplay styles. It happens right now. I mean, there's a game called Savage: Battle for New Earth. It's free right now, and the sequel's being worked on. And you have a game where basically one person's the RTS commander dictating what's going on, and other people are playing from a first-person perspective.
Right.
And that happens right now on a PC. They figured that out.
In the source mod Iron Grip, it didn't turn out too well, but it's basically the same thing where one player is.
But I mean, like, it was such a no-brainer thing. Making Halo Wars on the PC, and they command people in Halo 3 multiplayer or some kind of thing like that. How tough would that have been to figure out?